The Dharma, incomparably profound and exquisite, is rarely met with even in hundreds of thousands of millions of kalpas. We now can see it, hear it, accept and hold it. May we realize the true mind of the Tathagata. Today is the third day of this 7-day sesshin here at Mountain Gate in northern New Mexico. Rohatsu sesshin, the sesshin that memorializes the Buddha's awakening, and also it is a metaphor for everyone's potential. And as such, not only is it our potential right now, it's always our potential. And right now, it's even more so because countless people all over the world are actually doing this same practice. Searching within for, we don't even know what, but there's something we need to return to. And as was mentioned in the other two teishos, there's various different formats for this. In every single part of the world, people have come up with ways to search and metaphors for that search. And we shared something from the Upanishads yesterday. And today I'd like to share from the Tao Te Ching, which is, again, a very ancient text. And again, it's not clear. I mean, it's attributed to a particular person writing it, but it seems that perhaps it was more than one person. And some of the revisions appear to have happened before the thing was written to begin with. It's a very complicated thing, as texts from ancient times are. And in another way, it's anyone who has reached a deep level of practice and understood a certain amount and clarified to a certain degree and let go even more so, then there's no interest in putting their name on something. The teaching is sufficient. Now, if having a name on it helps the teaching be spread, that's one thing. But the teacher herself or himself is not particularly concerned, at least unless there's an overt reason for it, with the publication of talks. In fact, Mitra-roshi doesn't even want his talks Zoomed. And he also was exceedingly reticent to having them recorded. And eventually he allowed them to be recorded and eventually said, okay, they can be made available, but only to people who have actually sat the sesshin they were given in. Here, we're not as strict as this. We go ahead and record them and we put them on YouTube in hopes that they will inspire other people to practice. This is the basic motivation for it, is inspiration to practice. It's hard to practice on our own. If we have some direction, if we have people doing it ahead of us and we can see that it's working for them, that can help a great deal in our own practice moving forward. It was a long time ago when I started Zen practice. And for a long time, I was doing it on my own. And in fact, I wasn't even doing it in the United States because I was living abroad at the time. And there simply wasn't any option for Zen practice. I'm not sure there was anybody other than one person in that country who even did Zen practice. I had friends there who, quote, did meditation, and they One of them told me that he sat in his window looking out and letting his mind wander. And he felt that that was meditation. Nothing is wrong with that. And in fact, apparently that's how Albert Einstein came upon his magnificent discoveries. But in terms of coming to what we call in Zen awakening, it takes a little bit more effort than that. And it takes more focus than that. And of course, our main focus is our extended out breath, our Susukkan, where we are expanding and focusing at the same time in our awareness. And it's also vital to embody that practice. Too often, certainly in the West, we human beings, in our main WASP culture at least, learn to live out of our heads, out of intellect, out of books, out of ideas, out of thoughts. And it's as if we are disembodied heads. But it's the whole being that comes to awakening, not the head. And if we can't engage the whole being, then nothing awakens. We can find a nice story, but it's not going to liberate us. Liberation can only come through working through our whole being, which means embodying the whole thing. And if we've had any trauma, that makes embodiment very challenging. And there are ways in this modern world to help mitigate that. And sometimes, having been traumatized, if it's not beyond a certain point, it can actually be motivating to doing Zen practice. So today I'd like, as I said, to share with you something from the Tao Te Ching, because it like the Upanishads, like the sutras, like many of the Psalms, by the way, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me. There's no thou outside of me, but there's also no need to fear death. It has deep meaning, that psalm. And there are many other writings, prayers, songs from many different religions that also express that same truth, and certainly express the yearning to understand that truth. Although we can say a Buddhist has certain beliefs, but it is not essential to have those beliefs to practice Zen meditation. And there are plenty of people who call themselves Jew-Bus, for example, Jewish Buddhists, and Christian Buddhists, and so on and so forth, who have been raised in one tradition and don't abandon that birth tradition, but find a depth that may have gotten lost in that tradition through doing Zen practice. So here we are with Lao Tzu. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. And Tao, there's a character in Chinese and Japanese that means way or road. And it has some further senses to it. Let me share what is written about it on Wikipedia. Tao literally means way, or one of its synonyms, but was extended to mean the way. This term, which was variously used by other Chinese philosophers, including Confucius, Mencius, Mozi, and Hafezi, has special meaning within the context of Taoism, where it implies the essential, unnameable process. of the universe, the essential, unnameable process of the universe. That is what we are searching for in our Zen practice. That is what is the source of this yearning that we have to, we don't know what, but somehow go beyond words, thoughts, ideas, to find something that is profoundly vital and meaningful. And we can. Let's continue. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The unnameable is the eternal real. Naming is the origin of all particular things. Another way to put that is that when we say truck, we have an image of a particular vehicle with wheels that go, a motor that makes it go one way or another, whether gas or electric or you name it. And so when we think truck, we have a good idea. We're able to communicate with somebody when we say, I just saw a truck. But is that what a truck really is? Or is that just the word representing something that cannot be really described in its essence? Free from desire, you realize the mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. Only what our thoughts provide. Only what our assumptions tell us. But are they true? Perhaps a little bit, perhaps not at all. What is the truth? Yet mystery and manifestations arise from the same source. This source is called darkness. Darkness within darkness, the gateway to all understanding. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. Not only that, but there is freedom. Freedom from that catch in your chest that wants something. Freedom from that anxiety that fears something. The only real freedom there is. Free from desire. To have it be a particular way or not be a particular way. The Buddha outlined this centuries ago when he said that the cause of suffering for human beings is clinging. Now, basically, desire can be a positive aspect of life. In fact, there are some desires that are essential to life. For example, the desire to sleep and to be able to do so, the desire to eat and to be able to do so, the feeling that you have to go to the bathroom and to be able to do so. There are various different aspects of living that are essential. And when we say, I'm hungry, that can be life-giving. However, if we're only hungry for chocolate milkshakes, maybe we've got a problem with desire. It's clinging that is the problem. And that's where all those chocolate milkshakes come in. If I have to have a chocolate milkshake today, tomorrow, the next day, if I really, really have to have a chocolate milkshake, that's a clinging. as far as I know, chocolate milkshakes are not essential to human growth or happiness either. So there's a difference between desire and clinging, and we tend to confound the two. The vows that we speak, the bodhisattva vows that we speak of clinging and letting go of clinging. Originally, they were worded as desire, but actually in translation, clinging is a more accurate term. The Buddha said that we want to have things a certain way, and that's why we suffer when they can't be that way. And this bodes in practice as well. For example, we get into this really great feeling of concentration. Things appear to be clear, we appear to be going deeper, and then it starts sliding away. And we find ourselves beginning to get filled with alternative thoughts and distractions and all the rest. And our mind goes, oh my God, no, I need to have this other mind state. And we go scrambling after it. And of course, as long as we scramble after it, we're not going to return to it. The interesting thing is it's always there. It's a matter of distancing ourselves from it or allowing ourselves to be in the present moment. And if we let go of our idea that we've got to get back to that mind state and simply tune into our body and experience the feeling of, oh my God, no, then suddenly it reappears. Where then is the problem? Life is most mysterious. We think we have it figured out. But do we really? And isn't it much more amazing to allow ourselves to open to each moment as it unfolds in fascination and openness, rather than needing to be a certain way? When we let go of our rigidity and dare to untie the rope from the boat, from the dock, and sail away beyond the sight of land. Sure, it's scary, but what adventures we can have and what amazing discoveries we can make. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The unnameable is the eternal real. Naming is the origin of all particular things. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. Yet, mystery and manifestations arise from the same source. Mystery and manifestations arise from the same source. The Buddha said, all beings are possessed, and that's kind of the wrong term, really. Innate in all beings is this incredible mind of profound awareness to which I have just awakened. But because the minds of human beings are turned upside down through delusive thinking, they fail to perceive it. So we are already endowed with everything we need. We are great perfection personified, except that we don't act like it. Now, why don't we act like it? Because we are conditioned. We have ideas about ourselves. We have ideas about things. We live from our heads in stories and assumptions. But when we can dive deep within that yearning and open to the truth, then our life is very, very different. Within darkness, there is light, but do not look for that light. Light and darkness are a pair, like the foot before and the foot behind are walking. This is an ancient teaching. If we want to be free, if we want to open to the truth that the Tao Te Ching, that the Upanishads, that the sutras, that the teachings of many, many, many religions, Sufis, are teaching, we have to dare, as it said in Zen, to let go our hold on the cliff. We're afraid to let go. We're afraid to let go of these ideas and these assumptions about ourselves and about others. But until we are willing to let go of them, at least for a moment, particularly this idea of who we think we are, as long as we cling to that idea, we cannot become free. That's holding on to the edge of the cliff. And it seems like if you let go, you're going to drop into this fiery abyss. And yet, find when you let go, it's not into the fiery abyss. You move through the fear and into amazing freedom, and you realize that you've always known how to fly. And I think that's enough for today. And I hope that you will be inspired to let go. It can be frightening, but have courage. As Yidung Munan said, if you die before you die, you won't die when you die. Thank you for listening. We'll stop now and recite the 4 vows.